computer. Okay, so today we're doing something slightly different. Suze is a really good friend of mine. So this will be us interviewing each other, but I already know a lot of Suze's story, but just for the sake of explaining what's going on today. So when I met Suze, it was 1990. And at the time, you were either working at Vogue, Elle, or Glamour. I don't remember which one. You can tell me. Vogue. Okay, you were at Vogue in 1990. But I knew Suze in her earlier incarnation, which is a fashion editor at large. She actually was the one that came up with the whole do's and don'ts, and she went out into the world and she asked people what they're wearing, and she showed photos of them, and she was high flying and always in a car and always on the move. And then what happened?
Wow. Yeah, I had a really high voltage lifestyle. First of all, I was always born with a lot of energy, and I loved fashion. I loved it. And I was fortunate enough to work for huge magazines like Vogue, Elle, Marie Claire, and Glamour, where I got to cover not only fashion across the globe, but I also got to do makeovers on the Oprah Winfrey Show, Today Show, Good Morning America, grabbing people off the beaches and literally making them over. And that it was fun, and people loved it. And I loved it. And you actually, you know, I'd gone through many incarnations. I was dating someone else, not my husband at the time when I met you. And you actually introduced me to my husband on a blind date after I'd written that book about getting over John Doe.
Getting over John Doe. Exactly. I remember that. And so I don't remember exactly how we had the conversation. I just do remember thinking, oh, Mark Schwartz has just moved to New York. He and Suze will get along really well. And it just worked from the moment you guys met.
It was funny because I was 30 at the time, and my parents were kind of like, okay, it's time now. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're right. If I want to have children, I probably should start looking. So I actually told all my friends, I'm like, if you know any like great guys, set me up. And that's when I went on a blind date with him. You set me up with him, and that one just so happened to have worked.
And then we did and then also Suze had, once my kids no longer needed their nanny, Dolly went to work for you as well. I mean, we have so many overlapping personal stories.
Yeah, you weren't my angel investor. You were just my angel. Because you hooked me up with my husband, you hooked me up with my nanny, and then you also wrote the letter that got us an apartment. Got us into an apartment. So in many ways, you know, you've been an angel in my life, and I'm so grateful to you, Deb.
Oh, Suze, thank you so much. Well, really what I want to talk about today is your transformation from somebody who was in the fashion world and going all the time to somebody who has learned to sit and to breathe in and out and to really embrace meditation and its health benefits for not only just healthy mind, healthy body, healthy everything. And this idea of quieting the mind. How did that actually come to you in the first place? How did you go from the fashion world to this completely different world of meditation, and then you kind of started your own company?
Well, what happened was my husband got a job offer to move out to Los Angeles, and kind of didn't dare me, but he tempted me with, don't you want to have an adventure? And I was like, oh, I love what I'm doing. My family lives in New York, but okay, I'll give it a go. So I ended up leaving and moving to Los Angeles and going back and forth and working in fashion. And my mother-in-law told me I needed to breathe because I was actually almost having a panic attack because I left my 3 kids in Los Angeles and I just wasn't comfortable with how things were going.
Yeah.
And she taught me a 3-minute exercise that completely changed my life. She taught me how to breathe by counting my breath slowly. And she taught me how to visualize myself in my happy place. So I did both of those things. And I went from being completely panicked to completely calm in 3 minutes. And I said, what is that? And she said, it's called meditation. You really should learn how to do it. So when I came back to LA, I was like searching for places to meditate. And my options were transcendental meditation, Vedic meditation, where it's a 4-day, intensive in somebody's apartment, a retreat, or UCLA 6-week program. So I actually ended up doing all of the above.
Oh, wow.
And as I tried all of the above, I thought, wow, I mean, meditation needs a makeover. I was specialized in makeovers. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I just want to like go in and get out, kind of like what she taught me. I'm like, wouldn't it be nice if there was a dry bar for meditation? Dry bar is a place in New York and LA that you get your hair done, you're in and out in 30 minutes, you feel much better. So I had this vision and flash actually in my car on this studio and what it would look like Heaven Can Wait. You remember that movie with Warren Beatty, all white on white on white when he goes to heaven? I'm like, and there was like a front desk in white. I wanted it to look like that. And I started kind of creating it in my mind. I'd be like going to these classes and wanting to edit the teacher's outfits and wanting to edit the teacher's words. So between the outfits and the words, I realized I called this one guy and I said, look, I want to do a private meditation session with you. His name was Steve Ross, and he was a really famous yogi in Los Angeles and actually in the world because he had his own TV show. So we did a private session, and in the middle of it, I said, honestly, this is not why I called you. I called you because I have this idea. I want to do it. I would love for you to, be a teacher there. And he said, if you do it, I will teach there. He ended up not only teaching there, and like 70 people would come to his class, but he hooked me up with a studio manager. He helped me with the lighting. He kind of like helped me in all these different ways from the goodness of his heart because he wanted to see this happen. And he said to me, the more people doing this, the better the world will be. And I have been, singing that mantra ever since. And I truly believe it. I mean, we live in a place right now, Deb, that's so great because it used to be when people were suffering with mental health issues, they would never talk to anybody about it or they would be ashamed. And now it's been destigmatized to a place where it's really comfortable to talk to people about it and really easy to access help for those things. So at the time when I opened up Unplug, it was the world's first drop-in meditation studio, and that was in 2014. Right. And then one of my students came to me and he said, I moved to be closer to the studio and I don't want to travel, even though he was a producer, Emmy award-winning producer for ESPN, because I love this teacher and I really don't want to be away for so long. Could we record her?
Oh, so that's when you had the idea for the app.
Yeah. And so I said, okay. And he actually told me I should be live streaming. And I was like, no way. But I ended up doing the other thing. I ended up starting to record, and then people started to ask me for specific meditations. And lo and behold, the Unplug app was born, and that now has 1,200 meditations.
I have it on my phone and I use it. And so this is what it kind of looks like. It's like you choose the meditation of the day. It's 10 minutes. It's nothing. It actually helps you start the day on a really good note. I didn't believe in meditation, or I didn't believe in the powers of meditation until, I don't know if you remember this, but I came to Unplug in 2015, either like late 2015, 2016, and I took a class. And I left there and I thought, I've got to do this every day. And really, it was kind of a transforming moment for me. And in fact, I had this experience in Greece in 2021, where I went out on a paddleboard and it started blowing out into the sea. And I was like frantically trying to get back, and I couldn't get back. And I was tiring myself out, and I thought, okay, like you can't fight the wind, right? You just can't fight the wind. It's just, you're not going to get back. Lay down and meditate. And because I was starting to panic and I was feeling intense anxiety, and I did some of those sort of meditative breathings, the 4-7-8 breathing, where you just breathe in for 4, hold for 7, blow out for 8. And it became this kind of transformative moment. And I hearken it back to sitting in your meditation studio and kind of learning those techniques. And it made me feel that if everybody in the world could meditate, we'd have a much better more peaceful place.
Agreed. And I believe that everyone in the world can meditate.
Sure.
It is the most accessible, easy, simple thing to do. And the problem is a lot of people think it's complicated because there's so many different lineages out there and everyone's trying to say it's their way or the highway. And that's just not the case. And then there's the people that think, oh, I can't do this because I think too much. And what they don't realize is like everyone thinks too much. We have 5 to 80,000 thoughts every single day. That's about a thought a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So meditation is really, I always say it's like a bicep curl for the brain. Your mind wanders, you keep bringing it back to the present moment. Then your mind will wander again, then you come back to the present moment, which is where your breath leaves. And that's all it is. It's a dance between your mind wanting to take you out of the zip code that your body's in, and then you bringing yourself back in.
I remember somebody saying to me once, your voice is not you. You are the one that is at the quiet center of you. That voice that you hear in your head is not you. It's just some version of you telling you you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you've got this thing to do, you've got that thing to do, this kid's permission slip to sign. It's just filled with the fluff of every day. And, be here now is hard, especially if you're a mother, but it can be achieved, and it can be achieved in 10 seconds or 10 minutes every day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the problem is people are not sitting with themselves long enough to kind of understand the thoughts that are going on in their own mind.
They go on their phone,
Yeah.
they medicate with alcohol or drugs. I know.
But they don't realize that their mind is constantly wandering and that they need to just come back to the present moment. But they also don't realize the sabotaging self-talk that's going on. And that you can, with meditation, actually unsubscribe to some of those thoughts. So for instance, look, we all have thoughts that are just not true. I'll give you an example of one of my old ones. I used to think my arms were fat. It's really stupid. It's actually a gift my mother gave me. She thought her arms were fat.
Right.
She passed it on to me, not directly, but I just started thinking that, right? And it wasn't true. And I'm sitting in meditation and all of a sudden I'm thinking, I'm wearing a sleeveless shirt. And then I'm like, that is the biggest waste of time. Because not only did I think it once, I thought it 5 times.
Yeah.
And I chose to unsubscribe to that thought. And I've never thought that thought again. And the other thing is that has been another gift of meditation is so often we do stupid stuff. We all do it. We all sometimes scorch the village. We all do things that we regret. I've never met anyone who never did something really stupid and wish they could take the words back. But sometimes when that happens, when you're not a meditator, you can't forgive yourself. You go on and on, you replay it becomes even worse.
Yeah.
But when you meditate, you're able to be like, you know what? I fucked up. Oops. I forgive myself. Let's come back. So those are the things that the non-scientific benefits of meditation that have been to me the best benefits of meditation. I've experienced almost all of the scientific ones and many of the non-scientific ones.
Do you use meditation in relationships? So for example, with your children or your husband or friends, do you find yourself in moments of conflict coming back into a quiet place and sort of breathing through it and learning not to react?
100%. And that is when, I did something wrong most of the time because I married this greatest guy.
I introduced you to.
Yes, you introduced me to. But most of the time, if there's a problem, it's probably me who made it. So I have to then just quiet myself down, accept it, forgive myself, and move on. But when other people are driving me crazy, I have the tools also to be able to just wonder, do I really care? Not really. Okay, I come back to the present moment. So I have this ability right now because of meditation to be able to pause during those moments of insane stress. So usually what happens is people feel stress and then they react. They're explosive. But if you just took 16 seconds, that's it, and did that box breath, which is 4 through the nose, hold your breath for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4, and then responded, your life would be so much better. Your mind would be clear, you would be less stressed, because we know that we don't have a, healthcare problem in this world. We have a self-care problem. People are just not taking care of themselves.
Well, we have a healthcare problem too, because we can't afford it. But yes, we have a
And
self-care
because
problem.
we have the self-care problem.
Yeah.
I believe that a lot of the healthcare problem stems on the self-care problem. So if our children learned how to take care of themselves and their stress and had better stress management skills, that we would have less of the problems that we're having now, physically.
So a lot of people who read my Substack are middle-aged women and who may have had a dream of doing something else, of changing paths mid-career as you did. What gave you the courage to do it? What did you learn that you could sort of give others that are thinking of making this massive mid-career pivot? And are you glad you did it?
Okay, it's the best decision I ever made in my life. So I'll just start backwards.
Yeah.
So glad that I did it.
Yeah.
I don't believe I'm anybody special and that everybody can do this. The key is, even if you don't have money, there's a way to go after your dreams. So when I first started Unplug, I was doing a lot of exchange. So I would say, I'll clean out your closet if you make me a logo. I'll media train you if you help me with the, spreadsheet. I'll do this. And I was kind of bartering for a lot of different things. But the key is, if you have a great idea, it'll completely take over your mind. And when it's that good of an idea, that even though people tell you it's the dumbest idea they ever heard, you have to do it. It's just something you will feel that you have to do, no matter what anybody says to the right or left. Because I remember hearing this when I first started. Someone said these two pieces of wisdom. It's better to say, oh, well, than what if.
That's really lovely. It's better to say, oh, well, than what if. So
Yeah.
you try
well,
and you can fail and you say, oh, well, I get it.
Yeah. Then what if I did that, idea that I had? And why is Mark Zuckerberg taking it now? That's the thing. You don't know how far your idea could go. I know so many female entrepreneurs, and I'm going to tell you some of them now, who one of them was my assistant. Her name was Cindy Capobianco, and she worked for me at Marie Claire. And millions and millions of dollars later, she sold the Lord Jones, which is this gummy thing. So she did really well. Dry Bar.
What is Lord Jones?
Lord Jones is like these gummies, with,
CBD.
CBD.
Yeah,
the whole thing.
Yeah.
But she did so well. Julie and Elizabeth from Soul Cycle. Soul Cycle used to be in a funeral home. They started it first in this little funeral home. And look at what happened to them. The girl from Dry Bar, she was blowing out people's hair in a truck. Okay. She was like going to people's homes and, trying to, charge everybody a low amount of money. And then look at what happened to Dry Bar. So I know so many of these stories of people who switch careers midway and had huge success.
So you're happy that you made this change, and how long did it take you from the moment you had the idea until, let's say, you had the studio?
1 year.
1 year. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of incredible.
Yeah. And it was funny because this woman who I met at school through my kids said, my daughter, she loves business, and I heard you're doing a startup. Can she work for you? I said, well, I don't even know if this is going to actually work, and I can't pay her. Like, I don't even know. She's like, that's okay. She still really wants to be in that kind of an environment. I'm like, okay.
Right.
So one day I had her go out, and I'm like, she came to my house. I'm like, go 5 miles from my house. That's as far as you can go. And I want you to go up and down Wilshire, up and down San Vicente, and see if you can find any spaces that are available that look good. And she found my studio.
Wow.
She was in 10th grade.
Wow.
So FYI,
Right. Just go out there and get high school kids who are looking for experience to help you out.
Well, I mean, it was one of those, I didn't even know if it was going to work.
Do you think there's a third chapter in you, or is this it?
Hmm. Well, I think the third chapter is me taking the second chapter to the next level,
Which would be?
global expansion. Not the studio, but having everyone on the planet have access to Unplug, the app.
Right.
Having every company, use our corporate program where we're going in live, or we're training all of the employees, or the employees are using the Unplug meditation app. They're using it now at Condé Nast, one of the companies, and it's been really, we're on our, I think, third or fourth year with them, which has been amazing. So, and we're also training teachers. We have a Unplug meditation teacher training program where we're training people all over the globe. We have over 240 people in over 15 countries.
Oh, wow.
Now working as meditation teachers, not necessarily Unplug meditation teachers, but we've trained them. Some of them have opened up their own studios. Some of them have, now work in companies and train people in companies. Like it's rippling. So I want to just spread it. This is my goal.
So world domination, nothing short of world domination.
I kid it like that. But I want everyone to be able to have access to making themselves feel better in under 10 minutes. If I can give the world that, I will feel like, I don't know.
Well, I know that my experience in your studio was transformative. I know I can trace back my ability to just not react to sitting in that room. That was the first time I'd ever, meditated in any sort of structural way, or, not just sort of sat in my bed and gone, oh my God, just calm down. And all those breathing exercises and then doing yoga afterwards. It's all been part and parcel of the same interest in learning how to, again, just quiet my thoughts and not react. Anyway, I am so grateful to you. So you're grateful to me for your husband and your nanny and all that. I'm grateful for you for inner peace.
Thank you. Well, I have to say that it's an inside job.
It's an inside job, right?
But I think what I would love for people to walk away with is to do a little bit every single day. And that's the thing. Some people are like, oh my God, I have to meditate every day for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. I'm saying that is not true. That is not the case for it to be beneficial in your life. There are meditations that are as short as 16 seconds. Yeah. There are meditations that are as short as 1 minute. I personally wake up every single day before I even get out of bed, and I do a 10-minute meditation, and then I get out of bed.
Right. That's a great way of starting the day. But also some days you don't have it. And I found that on the app, you can do a 5 minute, you can do a 1 minute, you can just do anything that you want in terms of quieting the mind before you step out of the bed.
Yeah. And what I love so much about the app is that the teachers, we have hired the top teachers on the planet, and diversity. So everyone can find a voice that they feel comfortable with. I personally love every single one of them, but can I show you it a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Let's share it. Okay. And the idea too, that there are some things on there that people would never even know exist, like hypno habits. Have you seen that?
No, I just do the meditation of the day. That's it. Okay. I know there's a lot on there that I haven't explored.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, I don't need to share it because I guess I don't have screen sharing, but that's okay. One of the things that I love so much is hypno habits, because I paid a hypnotherapist to help me want to exercise because I just wasn't into exercising. And she hypnotized me with a 20-minute hypnosis session after she and I connected, and she found out what my blockages were. And after that, I woke up every day for 3 weeks and exercised. And I convinced myself that I liked it. And then it faded. And then I'm like, wait, she said, no, you have to keep listening to it. So you're supposed to keep listening to it. So I said, well, if you could do it for exercise, can you do it for productivity? Can you do it for healthy eating? Can you do it? So we created a series called Hypno Habits, where they're 19 minutes long.
Were you the one who told me years and years ago? I remember I was trying to quit smoking And you said, oh, just go to a hypnotist. Did you go to
Yes.
a hypnotist?
I basically, what happened was I was a huge smoker, and
Same.
my mother found this hypnotist who was also an anesthesiologist. And so he basically injected me with sodium pentothal and hypnotized me. And when I
Oh, wow.
opened my eyes, I was no longer a smoker, and I also didn't like cheese.
At all? No cheese?
So what happened was, I guess he must have hypnotized me and asked me why I was worried about quitting smoking, and it must have been because I didn't want to get fat. And then he said, "Well, what's making you fat?" And I must have said cheese because I love cheese. And so I stopped eating cheese and I stopped smoking. So I haven't
So
smoked cigarettes since I was 29,
I
and
think
I'm
you should go get
addicted to
hypnotized and
cigarettes.
like cheese again. I think you got to go back to the hypnotist and like, say, give me some
No,
cheese.
that came back. Fortunately, the
Oh, good.
smoking, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Susie, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me. When I hit stop on the record, I want to keep talking for a little bit, but thank you for kind of spreading the gospel of being here now, which I truly believe in. And thanks for taking the time to talk to me.
Well, thank you so much. And I would love to give everyone that follows you a free code so that they can experience Unplug without putting a credit card in, and just free. And we could put that in the show notes.
Yeah, we can put that in. I can put that in the text. That would be awesome. All right.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye, Suze. Hold on one
Bye.
sec. Let me get the recording
Bye,
done.
everyone.